Happy birthday to the Capitol Theatre! My name is Kara Hunter and I had the pleasure of performing for 4 summers. I just want to say the Capitol Theatre is a fabulous place to work. I loved being in Port Hope. The theatre is a beautiful, historic, atmospheric theatre. It's wonderful to perform there, and it's also wonderful to be an audience member. I've seen many shows there, gone and seen many friends perform, and it's just a wonderful theatrical experience.
Hi Capitol Theatre, it's Stephen Dixon here. I hope everyone is doing well. I had the honor to perform and choreograph many shows on that beautiful stage in that beautiful theater. I just want to wish you a happy anniversary, all the best, and here's to making many more years of beautiful art. Take care.
Hi everyone, my name is Katerina Ciccone and I played Sarah in Guys and Dolls at the Capitol Theatre. Now, you may be wondering why I'm sporting such a fabulous party hat. Oh, there it is. And that is because this video is to say happy birthday to the Capitol Theatre. I am so grateful and tickled that I got to spend a summer getting to know everybody who is at the heart of it all. So thank you so, so much. And happy 90th. Here's to 90 more.
Hey everyone, it's Joel Wesley,
Kevin Ferguson
from Long McQuaid Coburg, and the $1 Million Quartet played last year, this time at the Capitol Theatre. We just like to wish the Capitol Theatre a happy 90th birthday. Cheers to 90.
And cheers to 90 more.
Hey.
Happy anniversary, Capitol Theatre. You truly are the heart of Port Hope. To 90 more years.
Hi, I'm Jack from The Hobbit. Happy 90th birthday, Capitol Theatre. You're 83 years older than me.
The Capitol Theatre opened its doors August 15th, 1930. So, this year, August 15th, 2020, is the 90th anniversary. We thought it would be wonderful to start collecting stories, memories from artists and members of the community.
Mr. Stewart Smart, John Stewart Smart, he really pushed to get this place built. I had no idea until my later years. He basically bullied famous players into getting this place constructed.
It was built just at the early days of the talkies, so it was built for sound with the movie.
And if you would only let me rub your head, sir.
Stop that, don't do that, don't do that.
When we were kids, we're both Port Hope, born, raised here, luckily stayed here. And of course, when we were 8 or 9 years of age, everybody went to the Capitol. Everybody on Saturday matinee. You felt so happy when you went into the building. You know, you may have been sad when you went in, but as soon as you look around, oh my God, this is so great.
Lining up here for films was fun. If it was a popular picture, the lobby would be stacked full of screaming, ranting, sugar-hyped kids, you know. And Mr. Smart would have you lined up against the left wall toward the ticket machine. And if there were too many to line up there, he'd have a second line, and you started to come around the lobby by the doors and up. And you got your little ticket out of that machine that's still there in the kiosk, and that was your ticket. And sometimes they would ask you to show it at intermission to make sure you hadn't snuck in, I guess. The other thing that the ushers and Mr. Smart were always after was the teenagers necking in the back rows. We always made a point of not sitting anywhere in the back rows because all that stuff was going on back there.
In the 60s, I started dating, I guess, later 60s, and the theater became very, very important. The flashlight would come flashing on you just at the most inappropriate time, you know, when I was hoping to make an advance, you know.
And if things got out of control on Saturday matinee, Mr. Smart would stop the projectors, up would come the house lights, and he would sort of stumble down the aisle and get up on the stage, and he'd start a lecture, but he didn't have a microphone. And he had probably the softest voice I've ever heard in my life, so he sort of wheezed at us.
At the beginning of every month, they would leave a stack of calendars of what was going to appear at the theater for the month. I started saving these, and when I come home, I started throwing them, I don't know, in one of my drawers, I guess, I don't know. This was in 1950. It goes right through to July 1959. Well, I probably wasn't that interested in collecting them anymore because I'd already won her over. So I didn't have any reason to carry. But coincidentally, we started dating 1957, December. I can tell you the name of the show. And it was called Pickup Alley with Victor Mature and Anita Ackberg. Oh boy.
My father used to dance with Gene Kelly. And back in the 1930s, Gene Kelly would come to Peterborough every summer to stay with his aunt when he was a young boy. And so he danced with my dad and Shirley Garner. And my mom tells me stories of how she was young. They would come from Peterborough all the way to the Capitol Theatre to see the performances on the stage.
There have been some great productions here. You know, even in the film days, there occasionally would be things like a magic act on the stage, you know, where you didn't need any depth. The twin masks of comedy and tragedy were well represented here, at least until sci-fi came along in the late 50s. So we saw some real dandies in here. The Blob, for instance, you know, with Steve McQueen, and Blood Feast or something with a chap who gets blasted into outer space and he's consumed by a monster while he's out there and comes back and robs blood banks and things. Vincent Price seemed to be in everything. Every Saturday afternoon you saw a different B movie with Vincent Price and his little mustache and his gravelly voice.
I remember coming here in mid-70s to see The Last Picture Show. To me, that movie coincided with the closing of the theater. It may not have. It may have been, you know, the closing at the end of the summer or something.
Right.
It may have been a couple of years before it did actually close, but to me, The Last Picture Show was The Last Picture Show.
So back in about 1985, the Allen Theatre chain, which owned the Capitol Theatre in Port Hope, the Midway Drive-In, and the Park Theatre in Cobourg, was on its last legs. And they closed the Capitol, and they closed the Midway, and they closed the Park, and they insisted on selling all three together. The day that they decided to sell one and not all three, a local entrepreneur, very ambitious person, purchased the Capitol with the intention of converting it into a destination shopping store. That idea didn't come to fruition, and the building came up for sale again. When I got the idea, I got the bug, and decided I'd buy it. And then I discovered, much to my chagrin, that she had entered into an agreement with the Allen Theatre people against its ever being used as a theatre. So apart from having destroyed the place by taking out all the seats, taking the seats to the dump, and the screens to the dump, and the curtains to the dump, and basically stripping the place of everything theatrical, they made her sign this agreement. Well, we needed to get rid of that. So in our purchase and sale agreement with this person, we insisted that she make her best efforts to get rid of that constraint of trade. They finally folded their tent on the steps of the Superior Court in Toronto. And then, you know, then all the horror started. I mean, we got the responsibility of taking over this old dump and trying to bring it back.
My very first shop when I moved here 31 years ago was the lobby of the Capitol Theatre before the renovations. The paint was coming down, couldn't use the washroom, it was in bad repair. Rod Stewart had, I believe, recently purchased the building, and he had also owned a Stevenson block, which I was going to move into, but the renovations weren't done yet. So hence, that's why we ended up in the lobby for the summer. And it was a great experience. Everyone came in, gave us stories about how they remember going there as a child to watch movies. And so that's our introduction to the Capitol Theatre. Was our very first business was in the lobby.
We had managed to get a new roof on the building, and we had managed to get some of the plaster restoration done. During that process, we had a chance to get up high on scaffolding and investigate the historic paint finishes on the ceiling. Because we'd been told by everybody that there were stars on the ceiling. There were different ways of doing stars on ceilings in different theaters, and we sort of knew a background, but we couldn't find any stars. We were scratching away with our penknife. But the people were so compelling in their stories about falling in love looking at the stars that we thought it'd be fun to put stars on the ceiling. So in a whimsy, we decided to use fiber optic stars.
So then I was appointed and nominated for being the star installation person. The real reason I'm short and I'm small, so I crawl around the attic for months, and then after the bruise and the scrapes, and then the project went very well, and we completed, and then we had the Big Dipper.
Well, my parents were always very interested and passionate about the architecture in the downtown of Port Hope, the main street. They continued that passion and were involved in many of the projects. And the last project, major project they were involved in was saving the Capitol Theatre. They worked with a number of other people in the community, my mother being sort of more vocal and present out front, but with, my father, Bob Sculthorpe, doing a lot of work as well. And we're finally successful in saving the Capitol. It was in a part of the identity of the town, and when we lost our theater, it loses, you feel that identity slip away. So to have it come back as a theater that also included, with the modification of the stage and everything, included live theater, then brought that back.
First summer we opened in '95, one size fit all. Everybody got an extra large t-shirt with staff written on the back. And that with dark pants was basically the uniform. Yeah, this was sort of our first costume. A tie, which doesn't not worth a darn. Oh, sorry, wrong one. That's the tie. And this was the one for the ladies, a little scarfy type of thing. What I do with the people that came in, because those days we did have, top name people that came in here, Tom Kneebone, Dinah Christie, Rita McNeil, Natalie McMaster, all sorts of people. And I thought, well, maybe I'll start to get them to sign it. Next thing that came in was the vests. About 8 or 9 of us had made. And that was the same type of thing. We wore these with us with dark pants, white shirt. But I started doing the same thing with that, was getting people to sign it. The tie was full, so we just carried on with these things. And then Uwe came in '97. And he was all gung-ho about everything. started the summer festival, started the Capitol Christmas. When you walked into the theater, when it opened to the public, you came in those main doors, and the theater was just trees, lights, Christmas music. It was just marvelous.
One of the years, this young man with a little boy, and you could tell they didn't have a lot. The little boy had his eye on I think it was the firefighter's tree, and he wanted a ticket so badly, so his dad said, well, just a minute. And he pulled his change out, literally change, and he was counting it out to see if he had $2 for that one ticket. The little boy was so thrilled just to be able to get a ticket, and when we drew, he won the tree. I think the volunteers were as happy as the little boy was, really, for them to have won that.
I seen Franklin here years ago. When I was younger, like in elementary school. I'm sure it was here. So I remember him in that little peekaboo window in there. I always tell him that story when I come to see a show.
We didn't partake as much in the earlier days as we did in the recent sort of decade. So, seeing, people dancing in water on the stage. My son worked here at the box office, so he was the one who made Mary Poppins fly, do Mary Poppins, and great concerts. There's been some great music here too.
But I think the ones I've enjoyed the most along the way are probably Ron James, because he's a storyteller. Lorne Elliott was another one, if you can recall him. These people were comics that just came in and told stories, I think, are the ones that I remember the fondest.
My Capitol Theatre is, in my opinion, the heart of Port Hope.
My Capitol Theatre is a community collaboration.
Yeah, I have to say it's a community feeling plus serving a purpose as ambassadors.
To me, the Capitol Theatre is the cultural masthead in the town of Port Hope.
We won't talk about the ghosts. That'll be for your...
Wait, no, ghosts?
I understand that you have a story about the theater.
One evening when I was with my grandpa to go and check to see if the doors were locked, I was looking in the theater near the stage. I heard someone say hello. I looked around with my flashlight because it was dark and I saw no one. So then I said hello back and there was no response, so I told my grandpa.
Do you have any theories?
It could have been someone behind the stage in the back.
Maybe.
A ghost, maybe?
Yeah, theaters are quite famous for having ghosts. And I think it's because it's a nice place to be.
There were no seats anymore. They were all taken out. And we would have our boxes and our stack in storage. And we'd come in the morning and things would be moved around. And then every now and then we'd hear something, or one of the cases on the wall would kind of open and something would fall out, but the case was locked. So I think there was a bit of a I mean, this has got a long history, so it's probably got a little bit of something going on here.
Hey there, how you doing? This is Stephen Finley. Now, some of you might recognize me from being on stage at the Capitol Theatre in Port Hope. I've been very lucky. I've done, I think, 6 shows there. I was Avram in Fiddler on the Roof, played Lank in Crazy for You, the priest in Mamma Mia. I was the park keeper in Northbrook in Mary Poppins. And I also choreographed Shout, I choreographed Fiddler on the Roof, and I got to choreograph Guys and Dolls. Now, I understand that the Capitol Theatre has an anniversary coming up, a 90th. That's a big one. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun for me to put some finishing touches on this birthday cake that I'm working on for somebody else. Now, baking has become a new love of mine, and I even have a YouTube channel called The Dancing Baker Canada. So here, I have a triple layer cake, chocolate, obviously. What I did was I baked the cakes, I did an initial crumb coat, and then I did a finishing coat. So now I'm just gonna put on the finishing touches of this cake. Now, this is really a chocolate lover's dream. This cake not only has dark chocolate, we have a dark chocolate salted ganache, and I'm gonna do what's called a drip. So I take my squeeze bottle and I just go around the edges like this, and you let it drip down. Now, the chocolate has to be a little bit warm in order for this to be effective. There we go, nice. And it just creates a very interesting, unique kind of look. I love drip cakes. They're some of my favorite. And you know what? I love chocolate salted ganache. Now, see how that's dripped down the side? That is gorgeous. Now, I'm going to take, I toasted some almond slivers earlier on. Now, I'm not too worried about the bottom, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on what's called a skirt. And that's where I just take some almonds and I just place them and push them into the cake around the bottom. And I do that all around. Yeah, toasted almonds are gonna add a lovely flavor to this. Okay, so next, I'm just gonna simply take some milk chocolate squares and I'm going to place them around the top here. Just for a little flair. These are Lindt milk chocolate squares. So yeah, this is really death by chocolate. Here we have a dark chocolate, very, very moist cake with a beautiful chocolate buttercream and a gorgeous chocolate, salted dark chocolate ganache. Okay, this cake is really something. Next, I'm just gonna fix that one there. Good. I'm just gonna take a little more of the ganache and I'm going to place it around the center. Not that we need a ton more of chocolate, but I thought, wouldn't it be nice just to have a little dash of these toasted almonds on top, because they're really so delicious. And one more sprinkle. Nice. Okay, so there you have it. Check out this gorgeous, gorgeous triple layer cake with a beautiful buttercream, chocolate ganache, Lindt milk chocolate squares, and toasted almonds. Happy anniversary to the Capitol Theatre. I can't wait till we can all gather in the theater again. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.